Hello and welcome to what I suppose is the coldest edition of the firm that we've ever brought to you. It's minus 10 degrees here in Davos and the snow has just started coming down, but the contents of the show should warm you up. So here's what we have lined up for you this week.
The special bench ruling on marketing intangible is here, but with no clear winner. And the structure of the audit business in India will change, says Grant Thornton's global CEO Ed Nussbaum.
Alright, so let's get started with the top news of the week. It's very cold. My mouth is freezing, so I'll keep it short. The landmark marketing intangibles decision is here, but we have no clear winner. Payaswini Upadhyay gets into the details.
LG India, GlaxoSmithKline, Maruti Suzuki, Sony, Pepsi Foods. Foreign brands that have one thing in common. They're all subsidiaries whose foreign parents provide them with technical assistance and allow them to use trademarks and brand name. Now, to augment their domestic sales, these Indian subsidiaries spent a considerable amount on advertising, marketing and promotion. It's this expenditure the Indian IT department is interested in. It says that beyond a certain limit, these expenses by the Indian subsidiaries promote the foreign brand. So, the Indian subsidiaries should be adequately compensated for this service by the parent.
The revenue is basically saying is that if you are doing that expenses and if the expenses is beyond a particular limit, and that limit is what they call, which is what is called as a bright line test, which is say the comparable company's average spend of marketing to sales. If the taxpayer is doing anything more than that, then they are saying that has to be something which is considered to be a service that is being rendered by the Indian company to the foreign company, which is the owner of the brand, and further that this service should be compensated on a cost plus markup basis.
The bright line test that Rohan just alluded to was laid down by a US court in 2002 in DHL's case. The court applied this test to differentiate routine and non-routine expenses. The tax department in India has been using this test to say that AMP spending on the product be treated as a routine expense, but the amount spent on creating and maintaining the foreign brand be treated as non-routine expenditure. Also, Revenue Department wants this expense allocation to be compared with that of a similar third party. Experts say this cannot be done, especially for licensed manufacturers.
A licensed manufacturer can really never have a comparable in India. The question of comparing either its margin from a profitability standpoint or its ad marketing spend as a percentage of turnover with other comparables will also not arise. So this is, I would say, the primary issue which permeates through all the facts of licensed manufacturers, that if it is an entrepreneur, then the question of comparing itself doesn't arise. And as a corollary, if you cannot compare yourself with any other comparable, or if you cannot have any other comparable in India, the question of comparing your ad marketing spend with another company and then to say that you should be getting a reimbursement for the excess also does not arise.
But this argument is not forthcoming in the order of the special bench of the Delhi ITAD. The special bench was constituted to ascertain a common question that was being contested by companies and revenue across tribunals. Is the AMP expense by the Indian subsidiary an international transaction requiring a transfer pricing adjustment? The bench delivered two judgments this week. The majority order by the Vice President and accounting member ruled in favor of the revenue on two aspects. One, that the tax department is right in applying a transfer pricing adjustment in the case of LG India as the company created a marketing intangible for its parent in Korea. Second, that the foreign parent needs to compensate the Indian subsidiary for the excess AMP spent. But there was also a dissenting order by the judicial member which agreed with LG India that no international transaction existed and there is no shifting of income to a different jurisdiction.
I don't know if this was argued in court. It's as I said, we can't glean it from the ruling itself. But unless I am really missing something here, which I don't think I am, I think there is no debate really here. There could be fact patterns where the parent is taking out money from India in the form of various returns, thereby taking out the profits of the Indian company. Okay. In which case again this debate can arise that look, while the profit accrues to the Indian company, through various channels the parent is wiping out that cash or sweeping that cash back to Korea. In that case, yes, the debate can arise that look, the beneficiary of the additional profits of India is also Korea. So therefore, if India is incurring additional spends, they should make a return. But in this case where, at least from the facts apparent in the ruling, there is nothing to suggest that, I don't think this debate should be even arising.
But it has, and the tribunal has now sent LG India back to the Transfer Pricing Officer or TPO, ruling that the way the tax department calculated the cost of services provided by LG India to its parent is incorrect. It has directed the TPO to take into account 14 factors to arrive at the appropriate cost of the transaction. The bench also ruled that the Revenue Department's application of comparables in LG's case is not correct. To justify excess AMP, Revenue had compared LG India's marketing spend to that of Whirlpool and Videocon. LG India had argued that the right comparable for its case would be another foreign brand like Samsung. The tribunal agreed, saying that the Revenue had faltered in limiting the comparables to only 2, but it rejected LG India's argument that a foreign brand should be used as a comparable.
The point of argument from a revenue perspective is that these companies who themselves are the licensees of a foreign brand are not appropriate comparables, because they themselves will have the proof of burden about trying to prove whether the AMP expenses results into a service or not, and hence that those companies are not considered to be comparables. But again, that's something that is again debatable, because if you want to compare like with like, yes, there could be a technical issue in terms of real whether they are comparable or not. But if one has to really understand whether the AMP expense is an appropriate spend or not, one has to make a like comparison. But the tribunal again has gone ahead and one step ahead and said that you should look at domestic companies. Another point here is that the domestic companies, who do the AMP expenses, would probably be entrepreneurs and who would themselves be owning the brand. So again, you have a situation where you are comparing a licensee with a owner of the brand. So again, those are not the appropriate comparables.
Now, besides the setback to LG India in particular, experts point out that there are several other legal principles in this ruling that may influence similar cases pending before various tribunals. One such is the distinction between the economic owner versus the legal owner of a brand.
Some of the 21 entities that intervened in the LG India case had argued that part of the AMP expense can be attributed to building the economic ownership of a foreign brand. They pointed out that since the Indian entity is the economic owner of the brand, the full AMP expense should be eligible for deduction. But the tribunal struck down this argument, saying such a distinction would lead to incongruous results and the concept of economic ownership is not recognized in the Act.
Assume the Revenue accepted this proposition that India is not even the economic owner, then it would hurt them in various other cases, including, for example, the advance ruling in the case of Foster's, where they themselves argued that Foster's Australia sold a brand to Sab Miller, okay, and the brand had been licensed to an Indian entity of Foster's. So when the sale happened between an Australian company and a South African company, the debate was should that sale be taxable in India. There the Revenue argued that look, the economic owner of that IP or the brand is the Indian company, because they spend so much money and they are on brand promotion and they are actually utilizing that. So they are the economic owners, and therefore any transfer of that IP should yield a return for India. Now it seems it's sort of flipping the other way. So I think suggesting that the concept of economic ownership does not exist, or that India is not the economic owner, apart from being wrong, is also fraught with risk even for the Revenue.
Another principle in this ruling that is making tax consultants nervous is that the special bench ruled that even if the net profits are at arm's length price, there is scope for adjustment for marketing expenses.
LG's argument that its higher net margin vis-a-vis the comparables should compensate for the higher marketing spend did not find favor with the tribunal. Experts point out that higher profitability is important to satisfy the required arm's length principle, and this application by the special bench will impact the taxpayers adversely. But PwC's Rahul Mitra says all is not lost.
I personally feel that the taxpayers would still have a good chance to say that while the special bench ruling was given or rendered in the context of a particular set of circumstances and in the context of a particular approach which was taken by the particular taxpayer, by taking a more, I would say, a robust and a correct approach on account of transfer pricing, that means selecting the correct tested party, taxpayers might still say that, look, I'm an entrepreneur, therefore why are you comparing my ad marketing spend, because I don't have a proper comparable. I cannot have a comparable in India. And as I mentioned, since taxpayers who are distributors, their cases have not been adjudicated, their facts have not been adjudicated, it is my very stern feeling, and I would say very strong feeling, that the cases of the distributors need to be argued and need to be adjudicated in the manner which I discussed, and the observations of the tribunal should not really, I would say, affect or have any implication whatsoever, whether in favor or against the facts of any other distributor taxpayer.
Notwithstanding Rahul Mitra's optimism, the LG India ruling is likely to have significant impact on the various cases that were put on hold for the outcome of this case. And the debate around marketing intangibles is set to get a lot more interesting. In Mumbai, Vaishali Upadhyay.
Okay, I need to take a quick break, go in, warm myself up with a cup of coffee. You take one as well. I'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
The structure of the audit business in India will change, says Grant Thornton's global CEO Ed Nosbaum.